Hi, everyone, and welcome back to some new episodes of Sisters in Service. For those of you that know me, you know why I do this, because I want to tell those stories of active duty women and women veterans, and to tell their story, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what happened to them in service and after service. But these women are also doing some amazing things in their life after service. I also like to highlight these women who are business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're bosses in their business. So I hope you'll continue to listen and let your friends know and let me know how this lands with you, because it's really important for me that you guys understand what I do, why I do it, and why I continue to do it. So here's the first episode. This episode is being sponsored by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and weight training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Visit smallspacepilates.com for your complimentary session and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sisters in Service. And my name is Kat Gorchati. You know me. I'm here. Our guest today is Melissa Allen. She's an entrepreneur, human biologist, an allied healthcare professional, and she's part one. She's only half of the team of two because her husband's the other part of Kovr, solar defense for your skin, protecting people in air, sea, land, snow, and sand. Melissa, welcome.
Thank you, Kat.
I said it right, didn't I?
You did say it right.
For those of you that are listening, I kept messing up the name of the product, just saying. Real full transparency here. So, Melissa, I know that you are a military spouse. So tell us a little bit about your husband was in the Navy. What was it like to travel with him around, or did you?
I actually only traveled out here. We're both from Iowa, and he was stationed out of Great Lakes when I met him. And this was actually the first place that I traveled, with him. And it was just a blessing that we actually got to choose this place. San Diego is where I am.
So did you meet him while he was in the Navy?
Yeah, when he was stationed at Great Lakes back in Chicago.
So So were you affiliated with the military in any way, shape, or form before meeting your husband?
No, I have a lot of veterans in my family, though.
Oh, well, that makes it a little softer landing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what was it like to be a military spouse watching your husband go through transition? Or did he? Did he have a good transition, or was it kind of iffy?
It was definitely kind of iffy. He had been in for 14 years, and it was just a huge change. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. And then he also had quite a few medical problems that weren't addressed, and it took him quite a long time to get that all into place. So, and he still has that now, but he manages it as best he can, you know?
Yeah, transition and I always ask this question because it's different for everybody. I've met very few people who said, yeah, my transition was great. And if they did, it was because they spent less time in the military. And what I've found is that the longer you are in the military, the harder the transition is.
And that's a shame, you know, it's really a shame.
It is. It really is. So when did this opportunity, or was it an opportunity? Was it an idea? Take us back to this discussion of whose idea it was to do the Kovr solar defense for your skin.
Yes, it's actually Kovr Sunscreen, and we see that's our tagline, solar defense for your skin. And that was my idea, but it was after he was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma.
Wow. And was it just one of these automatic, like, okay, I need to do this? Did it just come to you, or did you have to think about it? Or was it just something you said, I need to do this?
No, I think I had to think about it. Lonnie, my husband, was at a period where he was transitioning from his first career after the service to his second career after the service. And so he'd been at a job for 18 years, and he decided he needed to make a change in his life. That's basically how it came up. And then he's getting a little bit bald on top, excuse me, top of his head. And our puppy was obsessed with licking his head. And it was just so strange that he was just doing it all the time. And it continued the next day. And so that's what made us look closer at it. And we would never even would have known he had basal cell carcinoma. So that was a real blessing. And
Isn't that interesting?
it is interesting. It's super, everybody asks, "Oh, is he like a trained dog?" No, nothing like that. He was just a pup, and it looked like an ingrown hair, and made us look closer. And he ended up going to dermatologist, ended up being basal cell carcinoma. And we're both real outdoorsy. We ride dirt bikes, we hike, used to scuba dive more frequently than we do now, but we're outside a lot. And my husband's very fair skinned and he doesn't like sunscreen. And I wasn't really particularly fond of it myself. So obviously after that, it wasn't an option not to wear sunscreen. And like I said, it was just at a time where we needed something to be excited about in our lives.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
so he was transitioning out of that, and let me think about this. Yeah, he was transitioning out of that. My mother just passed away earlier that year. He had some kidney problems from the service. He had gone through some kidney issues before this, and it came up again. So he was literally getting checked into the hospital, and I'm getting on a plane to go back for my mother's service. It was a very
Oh my
stressful time.
gosh. Yes, I
Very
bet.
stressing. And so by the end of that year, I just thought, we need something to be excited about. And then when this happened with the skin cancer, what a blessing that he got through that. And that's when I came up with the idea. And we both talked about it, thought it was a good idea. And just I think for men tend not to use sunscreen much that I found. So our goal is to make sunscreen application a habit.
Absolutely. I think you're right about that. That only 14% of men wear sunscreen, but almost 30% of women regularly use sunscreen,
Yes.
which
Yep.
is now I do have to tell you two things. One, I was watching a documentary on TV where they were using dogs to detect cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this little, it looked like this little pinwheel thing. And they would put these little petri dishes in, and the dogs would say, "Yep, this is the one," and they would be
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Well, during this recording, this dog sat by this one petri dish that was supposed to be negative for cancer. And they kept switching the petri dish, and he kept sitting by that one, he or she, I can't remember what. And finally, they tested it, and it was positive for cancer, not negative. And it blew me away. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. But then the other story is that when I was in boot camp, I actually got to sunscreen, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I got sunburned across the bridge of my nose.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a little red. It was a little tingly. And I was like, oh, this sucks. I don't like this at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was wearing sunscreen back in the day when sunscreen didn't come anywhere but in a separate container. So I was the person mixing the sunscreen, and this is when it was all pasty and
Mm-hmm.
chalky and white. And so I felt like I was my own chemist trying to get the right mixture. So when I put it on, I didn't look like I was going to scare somebody. So yes, I've been wearing sunscreen since 1984. And now you
Yes.
can't buy anything without sunscreen being in it, right?
Yeah, it's very common to place it in base makeup, lots of things, shirts, clothing, right?
Yes,
Oh,
everything.
thank
And I
God.
get it, but there's still those people that are out there. I call it frying it up. They're just out there frying it up. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you know, laying out the sun is, it's a rite of passage. Back in the day it was, you laid out.
Hmm.
But it's not what you do today. It's what happens 10, 15 years, 20 years later when you
Right.
get that look like an ingrown hair, like you said, for your husband.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be something. And they're like, I don't know what I did. It wasn't yesterday or a month ago or a year ago. It was quite a while ago because
Yeah. Most times.
it takes the body that much time. So what are some of the challenges that you found in starting your company?
Well, I've been in business for myself, running a service-based business for let's see, now it's been 24 years. I have a medical fitness facility, so I was used to running a business from that respect. But starting a product company was completely different. And there's lots of challenges. Gosh, there's so many challenges. I don't even know where to start. Well, funding for one. You're purchasing things that you're not getting your money back on for quite a while, unlike a service business where you're, basically we're able to retrieve money right away. So, figuring out how to fund this, funding it ourselves, that was probably the first issue that I crossed. And then from there, finding facilities that would work with us. There's the whole FDA issue. I hadn't thought that through all the way.
I don't
I
think
have
anybody ever thinks that through.
yeah, yeah. I have friends that they have like a moisturizing company. I have a friend that has a women's women's facial moisturizer, and
Hmm.
he can bottle that in his bathroom if he wants to because that's not considered a drug. So most people don't pay a lot of attention to the labels on things. So you have ingredients, right, in your kitchen. Most things don't have an ingredients label. You have supplement labels, and then there's drug labels. And choosing to start a drug, it just opens up a whole other can of worms that you have to deal with. And I hadn't thought about that because technically we did all the wrong things that you should do in starting a business. Most people start, well, I should say the right way to start a business would be to research it first and then decide, oh, this is the direction I want to go. But
You
for
just
us,
jumped into the
we
deep
just
end, didn't you? You're like, here we
exactly,
go, sink or
exactly,
swim. I have a
yeah.
question for you. I don't mean to
Hmm.
interrupt, but
Yeah, go ahead.
why is sunscreen considered a drug?
Um, that's a good question. Probably because of what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be protecting you, helping prevent skin cancer. Yeah, but because it's medically used. I don't know how else to describe it.
That's weird because
Yeah,
I know I've seen the ingredients in some moisturizers and I can't even pronounce the names. And I'm thinking,
right.
yeah, I'm not putting that on my face. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and it's regulated by the FDA. Probably, if I were to think back about it logically, it would have to be regulated because otherwise, you could have somebody just whipping it up and saying, "Yeah, this is SPF 50," and somebody's going out and getting burnt. Maybe they're a skin
Maybe
cancer
that's it.
survivor.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
just probably to protect people. That's the reason our FDA exists anyway, right? For the most
Right.
part. Yeah.
So I know you talked a little bit about the difference between service-based and product-based. Is service-based business easier, you think, than a product-based because of this FDA thing, or maybe just in general?
Just in general, I think it's easier. I think it's much simpler for somebody to start a service business, whether that be, dog sitting, grooming, cutting hair. I mean, when you think about it, if you think about all your friends possibly that have businesses or colleagues, how many of them actually sell a product and how many of them have a service?
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
most people go with
Yeah.
a service. Yeah. So
That's that's a big deal.
it is a big deal. So luckily for me, I was able to tap into a lot of free assistance from the government and it's out there for anybody and it's all over the country. Most people just don't really know about it. Most people have heard of the SBA, but there's the SBDC, which is under the umbrella of the SBA, and they were extremely helpful to me, extremely helpful. So I was able to get free advising sessions from an ex buyer that used to work for a big company, so she knows the ins and outs of buying. She also knows about, she was worked as a sales rep, so she knows both sides of that. And then most people don't think about when they start a business, are you going to do what's called B2C? Are you going to sell to consumers? Or are you going to sell to businesses? There are some companies that do both, but a lot of companies just do one or the other. And that will dictate platforms that you will be on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you were formulating your product, what makes Cover different from other sunscreens?
Well, we say Kovr is designed for people that move versus someone laying on the beach like you're talking about. So for us, we want it to be as breathable as possible. So we want the lowest SPF that we can have while still providing the most protection. So most people think that SPF 60 provides twice as much protection as 30,
Right.
and 90 would be three times as much, but it actually doesn't work like that. So SPF 30 protects you from 97% of harmful UV rays. And for us, that is the goal there because people are going to be sweating and moving versus say something like 100 that you're only getting 3% more.
So that's a great discussion. And I've never understood that because I've seen sunscreens that were 60 plus and 55 and 52 and why do they sell those if they're not any more effective than an SPF 30?
You wouldn't have to reapply as frequently. That could be part of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Okay.
And then if you went one level up from that, the first thing to
Mhm,
look at is you have two types of sunscreen. You have mineral sunscreen or you have
mhm.
chemical sunscreen. Most people don't realize that either. They'll say, well, why is this sunscreen more expensive? Well, mineral sunscreen is always going to be more expensive because it's more expensive to utilize minerals than it is chemicals, right?
Well, chemicals you can just make in a
Yeah, pretty much.
right?
Pretty much. That's the stuff that you see is like $6, $7 a tube. You
Yeah.
just can't do that with mineral sunscreen. It's just not possible. Like we wish we could make something that inexpensively and sell it for that cheaply, but it's just not possible.
So your cover is a mineral base then.
Correct. Correct. So it's
Nice.
yeah, coral reef safe, ocean
Mhm,
friendly. That's all very important to us
mhm.
because of the way we like to spend our lives. We like to be outside as much as possible.
So if I'm outside hiking, how often, like I put the sunscreen on, how often would I have to reapply it?
It should probably be something that you should test out. But for me, I usually only put it on once. I usually don't reapply, and I've never had any problems. Same with my husband. But some people, like maybe if you're sweating more, you might discover that you do need to put it on more frequently, right?
Right.
Yeah, see how you are after a couple hours.
Yeah, I sweat like a guy. I mean, that's really unattractive, but when because I played sports, so,
Yeah, exactly.
some women glisten, I don't glisten, I sweat. Okay, just saying.
And it's water resistant, so it's sweat proof.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So how does it smell? Sometimes you put sunscreen on and it's got this, I don't know, weird smell to it. I'm more likely to use something that's less coverage but smells better.
Yeah, so it actually is scent free. Like I have really sensitive skin, and a lot of people have sensitive skin actually, and it's the odor that can really cause people to become irritated.
Mhm.
So it's actually odorless, and um, people that hunt, that's a big deal. So you want to have an odorless sunscreen. You don't want to be letting animals know before you get there, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Now, is this the type of sunscreen that you can put on your face and your body, or is it just your body?
Yeah, face and body.
Nice.
Yeah. Now we do like to
Okay.
tell people because it is natural, mineral sunscreen is the same as natural in most cases anyway. You're never
Mhm.
gonna have a mineral sunscreen that's gonna have chemicals in it. But we always say start with a small dab and rub it well because
Right.
we can't just thin it down because that's what we want to do. Like it has to pass these standards. So we always say start with a small dab, rub it well, before applying more.
I know one of the questions I've heard a lot, and even for me, is broad spectrum and UVA
Right.
versus UVB. Can you explain to our audience a little bit about that? Because, it might sound like, oh, I've heard this before, but, when you're buying sunscreen, sometimes you don't think about that.
Yeah, yeah. UVB rays are the ones that are more damaging and more closely associated to skin cancer, but both rays can be damaging. So ours is broad spectrum as well. And I think nowadays I tend to see most sunscreens on the market tend to be more broad spectrum, but not always. That is something that you need to make sure that it says on it. Like, I don't know if you can see these from here, or say broad spectrum right underneath
Yeah, I
here.
can see that.
Yeah, and that's going to be the
Nice.
best sunscreen to provide the most protection from you
Yeah.
for you. I mean,
So who are you hoping to sell this to? Are you hoping to really get the military, maybe? Because I'm thinking, I was going to say, I'm thinking broad spectrum. I'm thinking broadly here, like
yeah,
the I don't know, the military services having this in their kits and stuff. Who's your
yeah.
audience?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that. Veterans, athletes, first responders is our target audience. And yeah, at some point we would love to be like in GI's backpacks. That is one of our goals. But I'm really trying to do a lot of different markets at once, and it can be overwhelming to say the least. And in the beginning, I thought it was going to be easier to tap into like federal opportunities market. Doing
Mhm.
doing business with our government, but and I do hope to be there at some point. But it is very confusing, and I'm discovering it's better for me to start at a smaller, lower level, I should say. I've
Mhm.
had some success with local municipalities, like water authorities, and I think county and city is where I'm going to focus, and I'm going to build up to federal from there. But yeah, we like to say we're our market is for people that move. You know.
Well, you want to start small because, if the Navy said, yeah, can you give us like, 120,000 of this product? You're like, wait, I'm not ready.
Right, right. But I am positioning myself to be there at some
Well,
point.
of course
We
you are.
actually,
Yes.
yeah, we actually are in the midst of having some infrastructure changes that will allow us to do
Mhm.
that. Right now, there's a good chance that we are going to be getting into the new airport terminal here in San Diego.
Nice.
And if that happens, like I have to have all of this in place. So I'm hoping that it will come through.
One step at a time. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome. So I
Yeah.
was just
Thank you.
reading here that your sunscreen is also ocean friendly and coral reef safe. Can you explain that to our audience a little bit?
Yeah, so basically, you'll find that chemical sunscreens will never be ocean friendly. The only sunscreens that'll ever be ocean friendly are going to be mineral sunscreens. So, mineral sunscreen will always have one of two ingredients, if not both, and that's zinc oxide or titanium dioxide or both. So, ours has both. We want to try to keep it as spreadable as possible. If it's just pure zinc, it'll seem a lot thicker and it's harder to spread. We want people to want to apply it, but yeah, it's been
Yeah,
a
you don't
been a
want it
big.
to go on like paste.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. And
And
yeah,
I've tried some of those, y'all, just saying.
yeah, yep, exactly. No, those are probably all zinc sunscreens, most likely.
Yeah,
And then the chemical ones. The reason a lot of people like chemical ones, well, one, they don't know about what it does to the reefs, what it does to
right.
the ocean. Maybe they don't live by an ocean, but it can also change hormone levels in your body. Chemical sunscreens can. The upside for people is that they always spread real easily because they are full of chemicals, but most people don't put that in perspective.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about like teams like rowers who row
Yeah.
on the
Yep.
water,
Mhm.
stuff like that, because I have, being in the fitness industry, I come across a lot of different people. And
Yeah.
one of my clients is actually a rower and she teaches younger people how to row, her and her
Right.
husband. So, I'm trying to think ahead for you. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you.
So do you guys have employees or is it just you and your husband like pulling this weight right now?
Well, we outsource a lot, so we partner a lot of people. I don't have like employees per se, but I do have a shipping center. I have a fulfillment center. I have a warehouse. I have an assistant that helps me. I have quite a few people in my network. I have advisors. I have coaches. So I don't know off the top of my head how many people, but I would say less than 12. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do it all by myself. And I should say, I did start
Why
out
would you
doing it by
want
myself.
to?
Exactly. I think most people, they're trying to save money in the beginning till they realize they only have so much time.
Yeah,
But yeah, I did start doing everything myself in the beginning. But I am glad that I did it because it's important to understand how things work. When we get so many automations, like you probably have quite a few automations in place just for running a podcast. So yeah, like an email
absolutely.
that goes out and things like
Yes.
that. Well, when we have orders come in, you have to know like the natural process of that. And
Mhm.
so I sell through our website that I built. I also sell through Amazon. We sell through Walmart, and then we're in a handful of stores in our local area. But my goal is to be in more stores. But you have to figure out how all that works. So if an individual orders, I used to ship it out myself. But it's good to also understand
Oh,
the ground level.
that's a full-time job.
In the
Just the
beginning, but
shipping part, yeah. When
exactly.
the
In the
beginning, it's like a couple
Yeah,
here, couple
exactly.
over here, and then all of a sudden you get
Exactly.
an order for larger, and
Right.
you're spending all your time just packing up sunscreen.
Right. And that was the point that I needed to transition to a shipping and fulfillment center.
Mhm.
So it's good though to understand like how everything works because if something breaks, you have to recognize like what happened. How do I prevent this from happening again? Like what one of my
Absolutely.
issues now that we have a fulfillment center, it occurred to me, oh well, how am I gonna do wholesale orders if they're not going to be shipped? Because any order that comes in automatically gets shipped now, right?
Right. You
Then
get
I had to,
spoiled by that.
yeah, you get spoiled by that. Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces. So I had to figure out like how do I create a delay from the time an order comes in to the time it goes out, so that I can change something in there. So if I'm taking
Mhm.
wholesale orders, and if I dropped it off to somebody here, I don't want it to ship out from the fulfillment center. That was one of my latest um, uh, challenges that I came up against last week, but I got it all dialed in now. But so we're starting to get larger orders from stores, and we want to keep everything
Yes,
running smoothly, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know that 1 in 5 people develop skin cancer, and that they should be protecting their skin. But why are people so resistant to it, do you think, in your opinion?
I think it's a matter of time. Um, they don't keep it with them, you know. So I think one of the easiest ways to be sure that you do this is we always say it fits easily in a backpack. Throw it in your backpack, throw it in your sea bag, throw it in your diving bag, leave it in your car. I think that's what happens. Like anything else, just like food, right? I work in the fitness industry as well for my other business. And when people eat poorly, why did they usually eat poorly? Because they didn't plan it, right? They find they're hungry
Exactly.
and then they just chow it down. But I think it's the same thing with sunscreen.
Well, I know how I am when I'm hungry. Like I stick my hand in the cupboard, and whatever my hand touches, I'm pulling it out.
Mhm.
It could be cookies, it could be chips, and that's what it is. And
That's what
and I
it
try
is.
not to get that hungry, but
Right.
sometimes, when you're running a business or you're working outside the home or whatever, you're just trying to cram it in the best way you know
Yes. Yes, I know very well about that. Yes.
So I know that your company, that you give 5% from each sale to a charity that's aligned with
Correct.
veterans, which I
Yes.
think is awesome. Can you speak a little bit about that and why that's important to you?
Yeah, well, it's important, because of my husband's background, my family's background. I mean, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have without our military, right? So I think it's important to recognize that, and we as individuals we receive discounts like that because of my husband. Like it's quite amazing, like how many people will try to make special accommodations for you. So we just try to pass that on. We try to pass that forward to our customers, and Saddles and Service is a local organization. We started working with them last year. They're a great organization. So they're all about horses therapy for veterans, help with
Yes.
PTSD. They
Yeah.
did a lot of really cool things. Like we just participated in a golf tournament, the Holes for Heroes, in addition to our regular partnerization with them, and they're just great. They do a lot of things, and they're here local in our backyard. And then there's also Campfire, which is all about getting kids and people outdoors. So we're big proponents of all those things. Like we believe, like we don't have kids, but we believe kids should be outside, not playing on their phones and video games
Right.
all the time. And just,
That's how I grew up. My mom
yeah,
was
me
like,
too.
either help me clean in the house or get outside. Be like, bye.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly,
see you later.
exactly. Yeah, so we want to encourage kids being on bikes and skateboards, whatever
Yes.
whatever your thing is, like athletes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What kind of advice would you give someone? Because you talked briefly about the difference between a service-based business and a product-based. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's thinking about selling a product? Is there one piece of advice you would give someone that would help them?
Yeah, I would say do your research. Do your research before you choose your product because it can make all the difference, in the world.
What type of business resources? Like I know you know that talked about the SBA. Is that something that
Hmm.
you think helped you a lot along the way in your service-based business? I'm sorry, in your product-based business.
Yeah. Oh, definitely helped me a lot. And it's actually the SBDC, which is under the umbrella of the SBA. Yeah, they helped me dramatically. There was also CMTC, which is California Manufacturing Technology Consultancy, I think is the last part there. Sorry, I
Mhm.
don't know that off the top of my head, but they also were a big help for manufacturers like us. And there may be other organizations specific to the industry that someone would be going into, but there are a lot of organizations out there because if you think about it, small business is like the backbone of America, right? Like our
Yes.
government wants small business to do well. So there are a lot of programs out there. It's a matter of tapping into them. One of the things we're going to be looking forward to or doing going forward is looking into more grant programs. We have gotten a few
Yes.
already, but I really want to tap into that to help us.
Well, Melissa, where can those who are listening, where can they find your cover?
You can purchase Kovr directly from us on the website. Our website is coverup.com, KOVRUP.com, no E in there. Or you can also buy off Amazon or Walmart.com.
Well, Melissa, I've learned quite a bit about sunscreen that I didn't even realize I didn't know.
Good, good, good.
And I'm always looking to up level things. You know how you're always looking to up level your everything. You know, it could be your makeup, it could be whatever. And when you find something better or you know about something better, then you want to, you know, use that product. So I'm definitely going to, you know, buy something from you, buy your cover, because, you know, I want to experience it. I'll be able to say, this is the greatest thing ever, you know.
Great. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah. And where can people find you if they have questions?
You can contact me on my website. Either go to the website contact page, or you can email me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions. You can email me at melissa@theactivelifecompany.com. Sorry, that's a little long. That's why we do the redirect with the cover up.
Absolutely.
But, theactivelifecompany.com. Melissa at.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for being on the Sisters in Service podcast. And for everyone listening, please take care, stay safe, take care of each other. And it's never too late to start your impossible.
Thank you very much, Kat.